Good day everyone. In this video, we will be discussing the topic which is the analysis and design for Flexure member, and this is the fifth topic sa ating steel design na subject. Bali, in this slide, dapat ay mapapanood natin yung video ng collapse na isang structure sa Bulacan, but I will just attach the YouTube link for this video. Bali, for our Flexure members, we will be mainly talking about beams, and beams are structural members to support the transverse loads and therefore subjected primarily to flexure or bending. Bali last time na-discuss na natin yung members under tension as well as yung members natin under compression. Sa tension, usually those are yung trusses natin, then sa compression naman ay yung mga columns. But dito, ang papag-aralan natin is yung mga beams which is subjected nga sa ating transverse loads. Bali, si transverse loads natin are loads perpendicular sa longitudinal axis ng ating elements. Bali, ang longitudinal axis ni beam is ito, at yung mga transverse loads natin ay acting perpendicular to those longitudinal axis. At doon sa siya, yung longitudinal axis natin na yun ay nag-pass to sa centroid ng ating section. Bali, there are times that yung beams natin will also be subjected to axial forces, especially if we will be considering earthquake loads as well as wind loads. And if it happens that there is an axial load that will act in our beam together with the transverse loads or itong flexure and bending natin, yung beam na yon ay mako-considered na as beam columns since the axial load is a component ng columns natin. And together them acting together, yung ating structure will be a beam columns na. And that will be discussed on the later topics pa. Then we have three types of beams or ng ating flexure members that are used to support our slabs. Bali, we have our joist, at yung joist natin is the smallest among the three and are used often abundantly to act as secondary support to ceilings or floors. Then, yung loads na na-carry ni joist will be transferred to beam, and beam is a relatively larger or bigger than joist but are usually smaller in numbers. And this provide primary support to ceiling and floors. Then lastly, we have the girders, which is the biggest and the strongest among the three and are used on large-scale projects such as bridge and flyovers to transfer loads. Bali, yung loads na na-carry ni joist will be transferred to the columns na nag-support sa kanya. Then, aside from these three, we also have different types pa of our flexure members, and one of that is itong ating purlins, which receives the loads from our ropes. And this purlin is supported by our trusses. Then, itong purlins natin, ito ay kina-considered natin as members subjected to biaxial forces since ito ay nag-carry ng loads acting on its y and x-axis. Then we also have this type of beam, which is a specialized type of beam that supports loads on the openings of our wall. At yung mga openings ng wall natin can be window or door. Bali, naka-provide, nalagyan siya dito ng beam in order to carry the load over our openings. Kasi kung hindi natin lalagyan ng beam or support, di mahuhulog or masisira agad yung ating mga hollow blocks or masonry unit above our openings. At ang tawag natin dito sa beam na to is si lintel beam. Bali, lintel beams. Then meron din tayo na tawag na tawag na doon, yung kalimutan ko kung ano yung tawag doon sa ano. Pero na-discuss yun sa RCD ninyo. Beam. Pag na-recall ko, sabihin ko na lang mamaya-maya. Sorry. Then, upon knowing what are the flexure members that we will be analyzing, it is also important to know what are the common sections that we will be using for that flexure members. Bali, most commonly, we will be using itong ating I-shape section. Bali, we have several types of I-shape sections. Meron kasing may slender na flange and may slender na web. At meron din tayong I-shape section na hindi man doubly symmetric. Katulad nito, ito ay singly symmetric. Then, we also have our purlins, which will be utilized as part of our roof framing system, especially as purlins. Kaya natawag dun sa purlins natin is C purlins dahil ang shape nga ni ito ay C nga, C purlins or channel section. Then we also have our hollow structural section here. Then we also have our hollow structural section na circular. Then we can also utilize our angle section as well as T-section as our flexure members, but it is rarely used. Then we also have our bars and circular bars and flat bars or rectangular bars. Then we can also use some unsymmetric shapes that under dito sa section 506.12. Then also stated here in this table yung classification ng flange, kung siya ay compact, slender, or non-compact. Pati nandito rin naka-indicate ano yung type ng limit states na kailangan nating i-consider for such shapes. At itong limit states na to, meron tayong different type of limit states. First, we have yung Y, which is yielding. Then yung LTB natin, it is also called the lateral torsional buckling. Then we have the FLB, which is the flange local buckling. Then WLB, which is the web local yielding. TFY, which is the tension flange yielding. LLB, which is the leg local buckling. LB, which is the local buckling. NCNS naman, nag-denote siya doon sa type ng classification of shape natin. And those limit states will be illustrated on the following slides. Bali yung lateral torsional buckling natin is a beam can buckle in lateral torsional mode when bending moment exceeds the critical moment. At ano itsura nitong ating lateral torsional buckling? Bali ito siya Bali laterally nagkaroon ng deviation. Then that deviation is consist of a torsional buckling. Bali makikita natin na ang nag-buckle usually is yung top part at yung bottom part nitong beam natin is naka-steady. Though may deviation din siya na konti, pero majority of the deviation is on the top part or sa compression part ng ating beam. Ito kasing beam natin, kasulad nung sa RCD, is divided into two. Bali yung top part niya usually, pero hindi man lagi, the top part yung under compression. Pero si compression side, yun yung nag-buckle. Katulad nung sa compression members natin, di ba nag-buckle siya dahil ang load na na-carry niya is si compression. Pero dito sa beams natin, dahil divided yung ating section into two, which is merong part na under compression at may part na under tension, yung under compression will be experiencing buckling. Then itong ating under tension naman will be experiencing yielding. Kaya ganyan yung taas lang yung nag-buckle, then yung baba ay ka-steady or it will experience yielding. Then we also have the flange local buckling. This is a localized buckling dahil yung flange natin ay slender. Dahil sa siya ay slender, di makakaranas siya ng buckling, and it is just considered locally since yung other part ng beam natin is not experiencing buckling. The compression flange of a beam can buckle locally when the bending stress in the flange exceeds the critical stress. Then dito may kita rin natin na yung top part, which is the compression side ng ating beam, ay nag-buckle locally. Yan, nagkaroon ng deviation na konti. Then we also have the web local buckling. The web of the beam can also buckle locally when the bending stress in the web exceeds the critical stress. Bali, mangyayari itong ating web local buckling if the web is slender. Then we also have the tension flange yielding. Bali dito, yung part ng tension naman will fail on yielding. Bali, kasabay niya yung pag-fail ng compression side natin sa local buckling. Then dito naman, ito ay natawag natin na leg local buckling. Ito ay katulad lang din ni flange local buckling dahil sa yung yung leg natin is considered slender at nag-exceed na yung applied stress sa critical stress nitong ating angle section, di magkakaroon ng buckling dito sa legs niya. Then for our hollow structural section, such as pipe, yan, pwede siya mag-fail based on local buckling or fracture. At yun yung mga limit states na pwede mangyari sa ating mga flexure members. But usually, ang concerned lang natin dito is itong ating yielding, then itong lateral torsional buckling, flange local buckling, at itong web local buckling natin, since the other mode of failure will not occur on the sections that we'll be analyzing. For now, we will stop our video here and we will continue discussing bending stress on the next video. Good day everyone. In this video, we will be discussing the part 2 of our design and analysis for flexure member, and this time we will focus on the bending stress. From our strength of materials, we can recall that the formula for the bending stress is expressed as stress equals M times Y over Ix, where this is our original formula. F equals M times Y over Ix, where yung M natin is the moment at the point that we are going to analyze. Then itong Y is the distance of the fiber being analyzed from the neutral axis. Then yung Ix naman natin is the moment of inertia of the section with respect to our x-axis. Bali, if we are going to get the stress at any point, we will be using this formula. However, if we are to get the maximum bending stress, this formula must be expressed in terms of the maximum stress, maximum moment, and the maximum distance from the neutral axis and the moment of inertia. That's why we have this formula, F max equals M max. Ito, pwede siyang lagyan ng subscript na M max multiplied by C, where C is the farthest distance from the neutral axis, divided by Ix, which this Ix is constant all throughout the section. Kaya wala tayong Ix max or Ix na minimum kasi siya na siya. Then, we can also express this formula for the maximum bending stress in terms of our elastic section modulus Sx, and we can compute for Sx by just manipulating our original equation. Bali, here we have m divided by ix, which is further divided by c. And this term in the denominator is our formula for our elastic section modulus, which is represented by this symbol S sub x. Hence, our final equation for the maximum bending stress in terms of the elastic section modulus is m divided by Sx. Bali, how do we get our value of m? Bali, we can get our value of m by drawing the shear and moment diagram of the given beam, or by just utilizing the moment formulas natin that we can derive based on the loadings of our original beam. For example, we have here, di pwede natin kuhain yung moment at this point, considering ito yung mga loads natin. Ito, meron tayong RA multiplied by its moment arm. Then, kailangan natin i-subtract ito mga opposing forces. Meron tayong force dito na P. Then, meron tayong intensity ng uniformly distributed load na W. Kunin lang natin, bali RA. Then, meron dapat siyang moment arm. Let's say that's L over 2. Consider na nandito yung point natin, Then, subtract natin si P divided by L over 4. Then, subtract din natin si WO times L over 2. Then, divide at times pa rin natin yung kanyang moment arm na L over 4. And with that, we can get for the value of our moment at the center of this beam. Bali, yun yung i-substitute natin dito sa ating M. Bali, let's also look at this figure, itong figure B natin. Bali, like what I have said earlier, pwede natin ma-compute yung bending stresses at different point. Bali, if we will compute for bending stress at different point, itong Y yung gagamitin natin. Bali, pwede natin kuhain yung bending stress dito sa point na to, then bending stress sa point na to, and lastly, pwede rin natin i-consider yung bending stress dito sa point na to. Bali, dito sa Y na to, di may corresponding bending stress siya. Bali, makikita natin na kapag layo nung ating element na inanalyze o yung fiber na inanalyze natin doon sa ating section, mas nalaki din yung bending stress. At dito sa point, kung saan nandun sa neutral axis, yung bending stress natin dito ay 0, pero doon sa pinakamalayo na section or sa farthest fiber natin, nandun yung maximum bending stress na makikita natin. Yan, nandito yung ating Fmax. Considering that yung moment na in-apply natin is the maximum moment. Then, after that, we will be analyzing itong ating beam in different loading conditions. But to be able to determine the maximum moment strength, Mn, we must examine first our beam in different beam behavior, the behavior of beam throughout the full range of loading, from very small loads to point of collapse. Bali dito, makikita itong load, ating simply supported na beam na to, ay a-applyan natin ang point load at its mid-span. Then, itong point load na to will be gradually increased until ma-reach natin yung point of collapse, or itong sa scenario natin sa illustration na letter D. Bali dito, in this figure, a simply supported beam with concentrated load at the mid-span is subjected to successive stages of loading. Bali dito, sa first scenario, mababa pa lang yung ating applied load. Yung moment nito na resulting moment will be also smaller. At since mababa lang yung bending moment na present, pag compute tayo ng bending stress doon sa farthest fiber, less than pa siya doon sa ating yield stress. Pero kapag in-increase natin yung moment, ay ating load that will produce a moment that will give a bending stress that will be equal sa ating yield stress. Dito na siya sa point B. Bali, after reaching the point B, ito ating illustration B, where yung bending stress natin ay equal sa yielding, the distribution of the stress on the cross-section will no longer be linear. Bali, dito kasi sa first scenario natin, nasa elastic region pa yung bending stress natin. Pero dito sa B natin, lumagpas na sa bending sa elastic region at nagpunta na sa yield plateau, sa simula ng yield plateau. And pag na-reach natin si yield plateau or itong ating yield stress, yung mga kasunod na fiber ay unti-unti na rin yield. Now, the distribution of the stress on the cross-section will no longer be linear and yielding will progress from the extreme fiber towards the neutral axis. Bali, makikita natin yan dito sa ating section B. Bali, itong farthest fiber natin, na-reach niya na si yield stress, pero hindi na siya ma-exceed pa doon. Ang mayari na lang, madadamay yung fibers below it, or above it, kung dito tayo matingin sa baba. Bali, madadamay siya ng madadamay hanggang yung lahat ng fibers natin ay mag-yield na rin lahat. Also, hindi lang siya pababa yung nadadamay. Bali, at the same time, the yielded region will extend longitudinally from the center of the beam as the bending moment reaches My at more location. Those in black are the yielded region. Bali dito, yan, nadadamay siya pababa, pero dito sa may kita din natin na na-extend din sideways yung ating yielding. Then, kapag lahat na ng ating elements do sa midspan, consider na nandito kasi nag-occur yung ating maximum bending moment, then any further increase in the load will cause collapse since all the elements reach the yield plateau of the stress-strain curve and unrestricted plastic flow occurs. And here, nag-form na yung ating plastic hinge. Kaya, dito, dahil sa occurrence ng plastic hinge, possible na mag-collapse yung ating structure kapag dinagdagan pa natin yung ating loads. Pero, not necessarily na pag na-form si plastic hinge ay mag-collapse na. Bali, yun pa lang yung verge ng collapse. Pagka nagdagdag pa tayo ng additional load, dun pa lang magko-collapse entirely ating section. Bali, let's draw muna yung ating shear stress diagram, shear strain diagram. Bali, sa point 1, nandito siya lang sa part na to or sa elastic region. At kapag within elastic region, may i-apply pa natin si theory of structures natin. Pero beyond the elastic region dito, yung point B dito siya nagsimula kasi nag-yield na yung ating elements. Pero within this yield plateau, unting-unti nag-yield yung lahat ng ating fibers. Bali dito sa point na to, nag-form yung ating plastic hinge. Pero sabi ko nga after ma-form ni plastic hinge, hindi pa rin naman agad masisira si ating section unless magdagdag pa tayo ng load. Kasi dito pa sa pagtaas na to, nag-occur yung ating actual collapse. Bali kapag na-reach niya na itong ating rupture or yung ultimate strength natin, dito siya ga-collapse. Pero dito sa part na to, ito yung unting-unting pagdagdag ng loads pa natin. At nung unang panahon, bali doon 2001, yung analysis natin is confined until dito lang sa elastic region. Pero dahil nakita ng mga engineers natin na bakit hindi natin i-continue yung analysis hanggang sa plastic region. Dahil dito naman sa plastic region, hindi pa rin naman agad masisira yung ating structure. Kaya na-formulate nila yung plastic analysis na ni-utilize itong mga stress na hindi pa natin nagagamit within the plastic region. Bali, akala natin ay kapag ka nag-exceed na tayo sa elastic region ay masisira na agad yung ating structures, pero hindi pa ano. Kasi meron pa tayong safety factor na nandito sa ating plastic region. At kahit na ini-utilize natin si plastic region, hindi pa rin ulit siya agad masisira dahil may factor of safety pa tayo na pwedeng makonsidered dahil dito sa stress na to, sa papunta sa strain hardening natin. At ito yung area na para makonsider na safe pa rin yung ating plastic design. And given that, na-form itong ating new discipline of structural analysis, which is itong ating plastic analysis. And this is based on the consideration of collapse mechanism called the plastic analysis. Bali, si elastic analysis or yung nagamit natin sa theory of structure, yun ay totoo lamang if yung ating stress is within the elastic region, pero beyond that elastic region, itong plastic analysis na yung gagamitin natin. Bali, dito sa plastic analysis, nadagdagan ng imaginary hinge yung ating beam, which is itong tinatawag natin na plastic hinge. Bali, fictitious tong beam na, hinge na to. Para kasing nangyari, lumambot yung ating beam, kaya nagkaroon ng additional hinge doon sa point kung saan nag-form si plastic hinge. And to determine kung ano yung moment na nag-cause ng formation na ating plastic hinge, kailangan natin malaman yung pag-compute for the plastic moment capacity. And itong plastic moment capacity natin ay makukompute natin using this one. Bali, si plastic moment or yung moment na nag-result sa formation ng ating plastic hinge ay natawag natin na plastic moment or MP, and it is a resisting couple formed by two equal and opposite forces. Bali, our formula for MP or the plastic moment is simply Fy times Z, where Z is yung tinatawag natin na plastic section modulus and yung Fy is our yield stress. Bali, si Z can be computed in various way. Pwede natin gamitin si AC times A or AT times A or A over 2 times A, where yung A na malaki is the total area of our section being analyzed. Then yung A naman is the distance between the centroids of the two hubs. Bakit may A over 2 tayo dito? Bali, si A dito kasi sa ating plastic moment, hinati lang natin yung ating section into two equal parts. That will constitute to the same, or that will give the couple with equal magnitude, but opposite yung forces niya. Bali, ito yung illustration. That's why we obtain or have that specific formula. It can be computed from the consideration of the corresponding stress distribution. Makikita natin from the previous slide, ito na rin naman siya, that yung ating stress ay ito yung magiging stress diagram natin. Ito yung makikita natin, that yung compression side natin ay equal lang sa kanyang tension side. Given that kasi na yung area natin ng compression ay equal sa area ng tension. Kaya yung ating compressive force ay equal sa tensile force, where yung compressive force is obtained by multiplying our area under compression multiplied by Fy. And yung area ng tension naman, tension force natin is equal sa area ng tension multiplied by Fy. And canceling our Fy, di mag-yield lang na AC or area under compression is equal sa area in tension. Bali, kapag ka-symmetric yung ating shape, di madali lang computein yung ating plastic moment. Actually, madali lang naman lahat talaga siya. Pero kasi dito, ba't mas madali ipag-symmetric yung section? Dahil yung location ng ating plastic neutral axis kapag symmetric yung section natin ay equal lang sa location or at the same location ng ating elastic neutral axis. Ano, kaya mas madali siya. Pero kapag hindi man equal yung ating or symmetric yung section natin, yung location ng ating plastic neutral axis will be different from the location of our elastic neutral axis. Pero para makuha lang naman natin yung location ng ating plastic neutral axis, kailangan lang natin hatiin into two equal parts yung ating section. Nagkataon na nga, pag rectangle, diretso siya doon sa gitna. Pero halimbawa, for triangle, na nag-control yung bottom part, syempre, below dito, yung ating plastic neutral axis. Para itong area dito sa taas, will be equal sa area dito sa baba. Parang yung concept na gagamitin natin is subdivision of line dun sa subdivision of area, katulad ng sa ating surveying. Bali, we will have our example problems in our face-to-face session. Thank you for watching. Good day everyone. In this video, we will be discussing the concept of collapse mechanism. Collapse mechanism is used in our plastic analysis and it is helpful to determine the location of the plastic hinges as well as the magnitude of our plastic moments. In the principle, a structure will collapse if plastic hinge develop. For example, a statically determinate beam loaded as shown below will collapse if one plastic hinge develops. Balik kung meron tayong simply supported beam, kailangan lang natin na isang plastic hinge para mag-collapse yung ating structure. And this usually happens at the point where our concentrated load is acting. Balik kung saan nag-a-act si concentrated load, doon din or lalabas yung ating plastic hinge. Pero if we will have a uniformly distributed load, the location of our plastic hinge is under or located at the midspan of our beam. At itong mga other supports natin will be considered as the real hinge. Bali, may hinge tayo dito, then may roller. Pero despite this being a roller, it will be considered as our plastic hinge. At katulad ng sabi kanina, yung location ng plastic hinge natin is under the concentrated load or at the midspan of our uniformly distributed load. Ito pala real hinge at magiging real hinge yung roller natin. Then meanwhile, for a statically indeterminate structures like a doubly restrained beam or fixed-ended beam loaded as shown, where there is a need of more than one plastic hinge so that the actual collapse will happen. In this case, two additional plastic hinge develop at the location of the fixed support. Note that for plastic analysis of the structures, this fixed support will start to rotate, thus they behave like a plastic hinge. Bali, kailangan kasi natin magkaroon ng collapse nga, dapat yung mga stable na supports natin will be converted into a plastic hinge so that the collapse will happen. At bali, katulad nung kanina, yung una nating plastic hinge ay mag-appear din doon sa location kung saan nag-a-act si ating loads or concentrated load. At kapag naman meron tayong uniformly distributed load, this will act on its center. Bali, there are different configuration if we will be using different types of loading. Pero ito lang yung usual na gagamitin natin, which is the concentrated load and the uniformly distributed load. And lastly, the collapse of a prop beam happens when two plastic hinge develop, and one of the developed plastic hinge is at the fixed end. For prop beam loaded with concentrated load, the other plastic hinge locates at the location of the load. However, if the beam is loaded with a uniformly distributed load, the plastic hinge is located at a distance of 0.414 L, or the length of the beam, from the simple support, where L is the span of the beam. Bali kapag daw meron tayong concentrated load acting on a prop beam, yung ating isang hinge ay plastic hinge ay nandun sa ilalim niya, and the other plastic hinge ay nandun sa ating fixed support. Then itong ating roller will be considered as a real hinge. Pero if we will be having a concentrated load, uniformly distributed load rather, the plastic hinge will be located 0.414 L from the simple support natin. Or pwede rin naman natin i-consider as 0.586 L, pero yun naman ay nagmula from the fixed support. And the other plastic hinge will be developed also at the location of our fixed supports. Bali, itong 0.414 L was a derived formula na, empirical formula na natin that will be used to locate the plastic hinge natin, considering that we have a prop beam with a uniformly distributed load. Bali, there are derivation presented in, pwede natin mapanood sa YouTube para malaman natin kung paano natin obtain itong 0.414 L na formula natin for determining the location of the plastic hinge considering a prop beam loaded with uniformly distributed load. Bali, we will use the virtual work method in plastic analysis of the simple span beam. One of the most efficient way to perform plastic structural analysis is by using the virtual work method. Meron kasi tayo another method at yun ay naka-base sa moment diagram natin. Doon ay yung ating maximum moment for a negative maximum moment and positive maximum moment ay na-equate natin sa isa't isa or which will be the location of our plastic hinge para makuha natin yung ating moment capacity natin. Pero dito sa virtual work method, in this method, the total work done in the plastic hinge is equal to the work done of the given loads. Bali, work caused by the plastic hinge must be equal to the summation of the work produced by the concentrated load plus the work induced by the distributed loads natin. And using the virtual work method, the total work done of the concentrated load is equal to the summation of the products of its magnitude and its displacement, or summation of P times Y, where yung P is the value of our ng ating concentrated load and Y is the deviation ng ating plastic hinge. Then the total work done of uniformly distributed load is equal to the magnitude multiplied by the area between the original and the collapsed beam. Bali, alin yung area na natukoy? Bali, ito yung area na natukoy, yung area dyan. Kung triangle yan, di makukupit natin using the area of triangle. Pero pwede rin kasi na gumamit tayo ng area for trapezoid if hindi man buo yung ating makukonsider na location. And that's just summation of W times the area, and that will give us the total work done for our uniformly distributed load. Then, to compute for the total work done by the plastic hinge, it is just equal to the plastic moment multiplied by the summation of the rotations in terms of radian. Where yung MP is the plastic moment, then multiply natin siya sa summation ng ating rotations, and that should be expressed in radians. And dito, sa ating virtual work method, it is also important to know itong ating small angle theory, that the sine of a small angle equals sa tangent of that angle and are also equals same angle expressed in radians. But this small angle theory is what we have used in our area moment method in order to compute for our deflections. Bali, the sample for this topic will be discussed during our face-to-face classes. Thank you for watching. Good day everyone. In this video, we will discuss the classification of shapes. Bali, just like our compression members, we also need to classify our shapes for our flexure members, and there are three types of shapes that we will be having for our flexural members, and those are shapes considered as compact, non-compact, or non-slender. And to determine kung ano yung ating shape, we will be basing sa ating width to thickness ratio, which is the same concept that we have used sa compression members natin. Bali, yung ating lambda is our width to thickness ratio. Then, itong lambda p natin is the width to thickness ratio for compact section. The limiting width to thickness ratio for compact section. And yung lambda r is the limiting width to thickness ratio for non-compact section. And if yung lambda natin is less than sa lambda p, considering that the flange is continuously connected to the web or rolled up section or built up section na welded lahat, then masasabi natin na yung ating shape is compact. But if si lambda p is less than sa lambda natin, but lambda is also less than sa lambda r, then the shape will be considered as non-compact. But if we have lambda greater than the lambda r, therefore the shape will be considered as slender. And since we have two types of sections, which is the stiffened and unstiffened, though wala masyado siyang used dito sa ating flexure member, since si stiffened and unstiffened sections natin ay hindi naman na natin kailangan kumputan siya ng QA and QS. Wala na siya masyado importance. However, we need to categorize kasi yung ating section based on the worst width to thickness ratio. Bali, width to thickness ratio ng flange part at width to thickness ratio ng ating web part. At kung alin yung pinaka-worst na present dun sa dalawa nating section sa web and flange, yun yung magiging governing classification ng shape natin. Like for example, if yung web natin is compact, then yung flange natin naman is non-compact, yung shape natin will be classified as non-compact. Bali, ang pinaka-worst na width to thickness ratio is yung ating slender, then less worst. Balik kung sa bad, worst, and worst, bali si bad is si ating compact section, then yung worst natin is si non-compact, and yung ating worst is si slender. Bali yung sunod-sunod nung bali rank 1 si compact, rank 2 si non-compact, and rank 3 si slender. At halimbawa, meron tayong web na slender, then flange na compact, di yung ating entire shape will be considered as slender. Kasi mas worst yung ating web since it was considered as slender. Then, yung formulas natin for lambda p, and lambda r will be based also dito sa table natin ng limiting width to thickness ratio for compression elements. But this time, we're talking about the flexure elements. Compression elements pa rin kasi na-consider natin dito. Kasi yung part ng flexure members natin is subjected pa rin sa compression. Bali, ang mga concerned lang natin na case, itong case 1, case 2, case 6, case 7, case 9, case 10, case 13, and case number 15. Bali lahat lang no may flexure na word. Yun yung ating consider. However, dito lagay sa red box yung case 1, 2, and 9. Since hindi kasi lahat ng shapes ay i-discuss natin. Bali, mag-focus lang tayo sa rolled up or sa eye sections natin. Kaya ito lang yung mga width to thickness ratio na i-inspect natin. However, equationally, pwede rin natin ma-discuss itong about sa angles natin at sa T sections natin. Bali, that's all for the classification of our beams based on its width to thickness ratio. Thank you for watching. Good day everyone. In this video, we'll be discussing the design for flexure members. Bali, the design of flexure members is seen in Section 506 of NSCP 2015. Based on its general provision, the design flexural strength or based on our LRFT will be computed using phi mn, while the allowable flexural strength for the ASD flexural strength is mn divided by r omega. And the value of r omega in phi is 1.67 for the omega, which is based on ASD, and yung ating phi, which is based on LRFD, is 0.9. Then, those factors shall be multiplied sa ating mn, which is the nominal flexural strength. And to obtain the value of our nominal flexural strength, we will use the provision on section 506.2 through section 506.12. At dito sa flexure members natin, yung strength na kukuhain natin would be in terms of moment. Unlike sa compression members and tension members, that yung mga strength na mo-compute natin is just yung loads natin. Dito ay yung moment ang mo-compute natin. And the provision in this section are based on the assumptions that points of support for beam and girders are restrained against rotation about their longitudinal axis. Bali dito sa flexure members natin, yung aside from the support provided by yung hinge natin, may hinge kasi tayo dito, roller, tapos may hinge din tayo dito. May support siya na binibigay, pero dito sa flexure members natin, dapat ay maging stable yung beam natin against rotation, considering yung ating longitudinal axis. Kaya, bukod dito sa supports na binigay ng ating beam at its end, kailangan natin mag-add ng supports dito that will counteract the twisting moments or the rotation, para magamit natin or may utilize natin itong provisions all throughout from 506.2 to 506.12. Ito kasing dagdag na supports na to will give us the beam stability. Pero aside from this point, pwede pa natin dagdagan yan dyan. At pagdami kasi ng supports na i-provide natin sa lateral movement or rotation, mas magiging safe yung ating structure. Pwede kasing full range yung supports natin. At kapag usually makikita natin yung full range of support if yung ating beam is embedded dun sa slab natin. Bali, full support siya kapag slab yung beam natin is embedded already dun sa slab. Pero kung hindi natin kasi ma-achieve yung full supports na yun, pwede lang tayong magdagdag or mag-introduce ng supports that will restrain the rotation movement about our longitudinal axis. With that, we will compute for the nominal moment based on the section 506.2 to 506.12. However, in this discussion, we will not tackle all of those sections, but we will just focus in certain sections such as 506.2, 506.3, and 506.6. Where yung 506.2 natin will be the discussion for doubly symmetric compact I-shaped members and channels bent about their major axis. Then, yung 506.3 natin is doubly symmetric I-shaped members with compact webs. Yan. And non-compact or slender flange bent about their major axis. Then, yung ating last section that we'll be considering is 506.6, and this is I-shaped members and channel bent about their minor axis. Kaya yan, nakahiga yung ating sections dito. Bali, kabaliktaran lang siya ni 506.2. And yung flange niya can be compact, non-compact, or slender. And we disregard the classification based on its web. And that limit state that will be considered here is just yielding and the flange local buckling. Whereas dito, sa 506.3, that's lateral torsional buckling and flange local buckling. At dito sa una natin section that we'll analyze is just based on yielding and lateral torsional buckling. At yung ibang sections, pwedeng pag-aralan nyo na lang siya kapag may time kayo. Since yung kasing pinili natin na section, siya lang usually yung lumalabas sa board exam. But the other sections that will not be discussed here, pwede nyo ma-encounter siya sa trabaho at i-apply nyo lang naman yung concepts na matututunan natin dito sa 506.2, 0.3, and 0.6 to understand how to get the maximum moments do sa other provisions pa natin. At dito, magbibigay lang tayo ng overview para dun sa mga solutions or sa flow ng computations para dun sa tatlong sections na i-analyze natin. Ito yung mga codes na gagamitin natin. At medyo mahaba yung ating unang section, pero kasing haba lang din yun ng 506.3 since na-omit lang kasi yung process na to dito sa 503. Pero gagamitin lang natin. Sabi kasi dito, apply daw natin si section 506.2.2, which is this one. Then this is the provision for the 506.3, which is the I-shaped members and channels bent about the minor axis. Bali, thank you for watching. Bali, we will further hihimayin natin itong ating next itong mga formulas na to sa next videos natin. Thank you for watching. Good day everyone. In this video, we will be discussing the computation for the nominal flexural strength based on the three sections that we have chosen. And first one, we will determine the bending strength of compact shape. Bali, ito yung for section 506.2 natin. The beam can fail by reaching MP or yung ating plastic moment and becoming fully plastic, or it can also fail based on lateral torsional buckling, either elastically or inelastically, or it can fail based on flange local buckling, either elastically or inelastically, or by web local buckling, either elastically or inelastically. We will have an inelastic buckling if the stress that will cause failure is within the elastic region. However, if the stress that will cause the buckling is beyond the elastic region, therefore, with that, we will have an inelastic buckling. Yan, nandito pala, If the maximum bending stress is less than the proportional limit or within the elastic region, when buckling occurs, the failure is elastic, otherwise it is inelastic. Or pwede rin natin gamitin itong diagram na to in order to visualize kung ano yung type ng failure that will occur, considering local torsional buckling. Lateral torsional buckling rather. Bali, dito sa figure na to, nakadepende siya sa nominal moment as well as sa ating unbraced length sa LB natin. Bali, yung ating unbraced length is the length which is unbraced. Bali, dito makikita natin, meron tayong support na hinge and pin. But other than sa support na hinge and pin, meron tayong additional support, itong cross na to. And this signifies that there are support that restrain the beam for failing or rotating along with its longitudinal axis. Bali, para hindi siya gumalaw or rotate nagdagdag tayo ng additional support. Then pwedeng umiksi yung ating unbraced length if we introduce additional support within our length. And may support tayo na additional dito, kaya yung LB natin that will be considered is just this one. Pwede rin magdagdag pa tayo dito. Pag nagdagdag pa tayo dito, si LB will just be this one. Or if we embed yung ating section or yung ating beam sa ating slab, magiging 0 yung ating LB. Or maliit pa lalo siya, kaya pag in-embed natin, magkakaroon tayo ng very short unsupported length. At kapag meron tayong sobrang iksi na LB, nandito sa region na to, there will be no instability. At wala tayong buckling na mangyayari. At kaya yung ating moment dito will be equal sa plastic moment natin, since fully supported or very close yung ating support against rotation. Pero kapag mas maunti yung ating inilagay na supports against rotation, di pwede mangyari that yung LB natin would be greater than LP but less than LR. At kapag nangyari yon, nandito yung makukompute natin na moment that's less than MP but greater than MR. At yung failure or buckling na mag-occur is inelastic. But if yung ating unbraced length, LB, is greater than the LR, ang mangyaring failure sa atin is elastic. Bali dito yung ating stress na may induce ng ating moment is within the elastic region, kaya elastic yung buckling na mag-occur. And with that, considering that we have compact shape, ito yung magiging formulas natin for that. This section applies to doubly symmetric I-shaped members and channels bent about their major axis having compact webs and compact flange. Bali dapat ay compact yung web at compact yung flange. At paano natin malalaman kung compact yung web at compact yung flange? Mabalik tayo dun sa table natin. At since we are talking about channel and I-section, ang gagamitin natin na provision ay itong 1 at itong number 9. Or kung rolled up, built up naman yung nangyari, di gagamitin natin si 1, si 2, and si 9. Hindi natin pwede gamitin si si 10 since dito kasi dapat ay singly symmetric yung members na i-consider natin. Then yung nominal flexural strength daw natin or MN shall be the lower value. Shall be the lower value according to the limit state of yielding or yung plastic moment natin or the lateral torsional buckling. At based on yielding, yung maximum moment natin or the nominal flexural moment is just equal to MP where yung MP is computed as Fy times Zx. Tandaan na si Zx is the plastic section modulus and that is different sa Sx natin which is the elastic section modulus. At itong yielding ay magagamit lang natin if yung LB natin is less than LR. LP rather. Or usually kapag sinabi sa problem that yung beam is embedded sa slab natin or very close yung provide na lateral support or fully supported. Pag sinabi din na fully supported, diretso tayo dito sa yielding. Hindi na natin kailangan i-consider pa si local torsional buckling. However, kapag hindi man sinabi that embedded or fully supported yung beam natin, kailangan natin siyang i-check dito sa ating lateral torsional buckling. At ang first condition where LB is less than or equal sa LP, the limit state of lateral torsional buckling does not apply. Or babalik tayo dito sa ating yielding na scenario. At kapag sinabi na found out natin that yung LB is greater than LP but less than LR, we will use this long formula, Mn equals CB multiplied to MP minus 0.7 Fy times Sx multiplied sa quotient ng LB minus LP and LR minus LP. And this value must be less than sa MP natin. Bali, meron tayong 0.7 na multiplier dun sa Fy natin since dahil yan dun sa residual shrink. Dahil rolled up section, di may mga nabawas na shrink agad dun sa ating Fy considering dun sa pag-cool down ng ating section. Then, if LB is greater than LR, ang formula natin is just Mn is equal sa FCR times Sx, which is less than dapat sa ating MP. At ano-ano yung mga nandiyan? Bali, meron tayong LB. LB is the length between points that are either braced against lateral displacement of compression flange or braced against twisting of the cross section. Then, para malaman natin kailangan kasi natin makuha dapat muna yung LP and LR to determine kung saan siya mapasok dito sa lateral torsional buckling natin na cases. Bali yung LP is equal sa 1.76 RY square root of E over Fy. Na yung RY is the radius of gyration sa y-axis natin. And E is elastic section Young's modulus, then yung ating Fy is the yield stress. Then kapag ka LR naman, that's 1.95 RTS times E over 0.7 Fy times square root of JC over Sx HO multiplied sa square root ng 1 plus square root of 1 plus 6.76 multiplied sa 0.7 Fy times divided by E times SXHO over JC, which is raised to 2. At yung RTS natin can be computed with this formula. RTS squared is equal sa square root ng IY CW, coefficient of warping yung CW, divided by SX. Don't worry, itong mga value ng CW, I, Sx ay ma-obtain na natin directly sa table. Pero kung hindi man binigay sa problem, compute natin siya ng mano-mano. Kaya naman yan. And for doubly symmetric I-shape members, yung C ay equals sa 1.1. But for channel, yung C natin is HO over 2 multiplied sa IY over CW. Where yung HO is the clear distance between the flange centroids. Alin yung ating HO? Balik ko ito yung ating section. Located here yung centroids niya, bali yun yung HO natin, yung distance na yan. Or pwedeng D minus thickness ng flange. Lang. Then pwede natin paiksiin yung LR considering that atik natin as 1 yung nasa loob ng square root term dito sa FCR. Pero that is extreme conservative approximation. Then per doubly I-shaped sections with rectangular flange, yung CW which will be used here, yan, it will be equal IY times HO squared over 4. At yung RTS will become this one na lamang. Bali yung E ay may equal siya sa 0 po at 2.00 at 2,000 ay nakulutang na. 200,000 MPa. Then yung JC is called as torsional constant. Then yung SX is the elastic section modulus. Then yung FCR na nabanggit dito is equal sa CB pi squared E over LB over RTS is squared times 1 plus 0.078 JC over SXO times LB over RTS squared. Yan yung para sa doubly symmetric compact I-shaped members and channels bent about the major axis natin. Bali, medyo mahaba kapag ka nag-fall dito sa 2 and 3, kaya hopefully nasa yielding lang na part yung ating lateral torsional buckling, yung ating problems na mag-fall dito sa section na to. And may nabanggit tayo dyan na CB, sa formula natin kanina to, CB. And that CB is called the lateral torsional buckling modification factor for non-uniform moment diagrams when both ends of the unsupported segment are braced. Bali yung CB natin na equal sa 12.5 mn max divided by 2.5 m max plus 3 MA plus 4 MB plus 3 MC which multiplied sa RM which should not be greater than sa 3.0. At ito yung mga ibig sabihin ng mga natin dyan, variables. Nasabi din dito that CB is permitted to be taken or conservatively taken as 1.0 for all cases. And for cantilevers or overhang where the free end is unbraced, CB is equal sa 1.0. And there's a user note that for doubly symmetric members with no traverse loadings between braced points, equation 501.1 reduced to 2.2 for the cases of equal end moments of opposite signs and 1.67 when one end moment equals 0. Bali, these are the several cases that we can use for the value of CB. Bali, we can compute for a CB based on this given formula, but you can also memorize yung some cases ng CB natin para hindi na tayo mag-compute ng mahabang formula for CB. Kasi doon, kailangan pa natin i-drawing si moment diagram. Then, determine natin yung mga moments at the quarter points para ma-determine natin si MA, MB, MC, at si maximum moment. But by memorizing this one, this can simplify our process. Bali, we have here the uniformly distributed load over a simply supported beam at yung CB niya is 1.14. But if we introduce additional lateral support dito sa ating simply supported beam, magiging 1.30 yung ating CB. Then yan, nakalista yung other value ng CB pa dito sa ating slide. Then, our formula for the nominal strength of non-compact shape, ito siya. This section applies to doubly symmetric I-shaped members bent about the major axis having compact webs and non-compact or slender flange as defined in 502.4. The nominal flexural strength Mn shall be the lower value obtained according to the limit state of lateral torsional buckling and um, compression flange local buckling. And yung computation for the lateral torsional buckling will be the same dito sa provisions natin dito. Gayahin lang natin yan. But the computation for the compression flange local buckling, the formula will be this one. Mn equals MP minus MP minus 0.7 Fy times Sx multiplied sa lambda minus lambda PF sa flange yan, divided by lambda R ng flange minus lambda P ng ating flange. Bali, flange lang kasi nag-uusapan natin. Then for section with slender flange, our nominal flexural strength will be this one, 0.9 E times K sub C Sx over lambda squared. Where lambda squared is BF over 2TF. Bali yan din naman yung nasa formula natin. Dun sa 502.4 natin. At yung Kc daw is equal sa 4 over square root of H divided by TW, and that should be less than 0.35, but bali within dapat siya sa 0.35 to 0.76. Bali in between those two values dapat yung value ng Kc natin. Whereas for the nominal strength ng ating minor axis bending, this will be our formula, MP, based on yielding that's Fy times Zx, and that should be less than or equal sa 1.6 ng Fy times Zy. Take note na may Y tayo dito, at na-denote lang niya that yung ating plastic section modulus ay with respect sa y-axis as well as yung ating elastic section modulus. Then for the local flange local buckling, this will be our formula. Yung sa non-compact flange natin is similar dito sa non-compact flange ng ating non-compact shape na bent about the major axis. Yan. Diba parehas lang. But para dito sa section with slender flange ng minor axis bending, our formula will be this one. Mn equals FCRSY, where yung FCR natin is 0.6 T9E over BF over T2TF squared. At ito lang ay equal naman sa lambda natin din. Lambda ng flange. Yan. Bali, magiging kamukha din halos siya nitong nandito. Kaso, pinagkaiba niya, iba yung coefficient. Then, hindi natin consider si Kc. Bali, that will be the formula natin for the minor axis bending. Then, we will have the biaxial bending. Bali, si biaxial bending is just a combination ng major axis bending natin plus the minor axis bending. And this usually happens sa mga trusses natin. Kaya, sa purlins rather. Kaya, we will be discussing the solution for or the design of our purlins under this section. But we will have that during our face-to-face classes.